Welcome back, focused learners. Okay, let's dive right into this, because today we are unpacking an absolutely massive paradigm shift in the software world. I'm talking about a trend that completely flipped how we create tech, the hidden costs that totally blindsided everyone, and the brand new engineering discipline that had to be invented just to fix it. So get ready, because the way you think about building software is literally about to change forever. It all really kicked off in February 2025. Andrej Karpathy, the former director of AI at Tesla and OpenAI co-founder, he dropped this tweet that just went viral. He introduced the world of this thing he called vibe coding. He basically described this wild workflow where he just tell the AI what he wanted, run whatever it spit out, and completely ignore the underlying syntax. I mean, no more hunting for that one missing semicolon. It was a total dream. But it wasn't just a funny internet moment, it was literally the starting gun for Software 3.0. We stopped fighting with programming languages and started basically commanding AI. Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer scale of what happened next. $4.1 million. That is the staggering amount raised by a 20-year-old university student named Guo Hongjiang. And get this, using just this vibe coding method, he built a massively complex AI simulation engine called Mirofish in exactly 10 days. Just 10 days. A solo student building something that grabbed millions in funding. This wasn't some weekend hobbyist toy anymore. It became an absolute superpower for what people started calling the super individual. So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover the vibe coding revolution, how vibe coding actually works, how it stacks up against low-code platforms, why you need to beware the automation tax, and finally, the rise of agentic engineering. All right, let's jump straight into part one, the vibe coding revolution. This idea spread like wildfire, right? It went from a niche Twitter meme all the way to becoming the Collins Dictionary's word of the year. But, what is it technically? Well, vibe coding is an AI-assisted methodology where developers use plain natural language to instruct AI models to generate, modify, and deploy code. You're no longer writing syntax. You are just expressing your intent. Like Karpathy said, English essentially became the hottest new programming language. You just describe the vibe, the look, the features, the audience, and the AI magically writes all the HTML, Python, or JavaScript to make it real. To really wrap your head around this, think about how the developer's job has radically shifted. In traditional coding, you're essentially a manual typist. You write the syntax, you do this painstaking line-by-line debugging, and the pace is, well, it's super methodical. But with vibe coding, you level up to an AI orchestrator. You write prompts, you generate code at lightning speed, and instead of combing through lines to find a bug, you just copy the error message, toss it back to the AI, and say, hey, fix this. It is a completely different cognitive process. And this brilliantly illustrates a major psychological shift that researchers are calling material disengagement. Developers are stepping way back from the raw material of the code itself. They've literally stopped reading every single line. Instead, it's all about Gestalt psychology now, looking at the big picture, the organized whole. They do this impressionistic scanning, basically just glancing at the red and green highlights in their editor to see if the overall visual vibe matches what's in their head. It's wildly fast. But, as we'll see in a minute, it also strips away a layer of deep, fundamental understanding. Okay, let's move on to part two, how vibe coding works. So how are people actually pulling this off in the real world? Well, take a look at this viral workflow from a developer on Reddit who built a full web app in 20 hours instead of a week. Step 1, sketch your idea on a piece of paper. Step 2, literally feed a photo of that sketch to an AI, like Claude, to get your technical specs. Step 3, build it out using an AI editor, like Cursor. And step 4, just iterate until it works. People call this the PEV loop, plan, execute, and verify. You plan it out in English, the AI executes the code generation, and you verify the visual result. Boom. Now, you can't do this without some heavy-hitting tools. We're talking about Cursor, which is a custom code editor that can rewrite multiple files all at once. Then you've got the Replit agent and bolt.new, which let you build and deploy the whole shebang right from your browser. And let's not forget Claude Code, a terminal agent with a mind-blowing 1 million token context window. It can literally read your entire codebase in one gulp. And stitching this all together is Anthropic's Model Context Protocol, or MCP. Think of it as the universal USB-C cable that lets these AI agents easily plug into your databases and files. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, okay, this is just for startups and tinkerers, the data absolutely says otherwise. Reports from groups like Jellyfish and Genpact show a massive 90% of engineering teams are already using AI in their workflows. Over 60% of engineers are reporting huge spikes in how fast they can get projects done. This is no longer some experimental fringe thing. It is a core, everyday enterprise reality. The fundamental way we build software at scale has completely transformed. Let's move to part 3 and see how this builds against existing tech, vibe coding versus low code. These two can sound awfully similar, so it's a huge point of confusion. With low-code platforms, think Retool or OutSystems, you're dealing with visual drag-and-drop builders. They're fantastic because they offer built-in enterprise safeguards. Well, actually, scratch that. More than just safeguards, they give you strict enterprise compliance right out of the box. But you're usually stuck in their ecosystem. Hello, vendor lock-in. Vibe coding, on the flip side, gives you total absolute freedom. The AI is spitting out real exportable code, like actual React or Python. You own it 100%. But here's the catch. You are entirely on your own for security. There are absolutely no built-in guardrails saving you from yourself. Which brings us to a really uncomfortable question. We've hyped up the incredible speed, the millions of dollars raised, the sheer magic of it all. But what happens when the vibes turn bad? Seriously, what actually happens when developers blindly trust an AI to write thousands of lines of code that they don't even understand? That leads us directly into part 4. Beware the automation tax, the ultimate vibe coding hangover. By late 2025, the entire industry woke up with a massive headache. The root cause? Something called the invisible complexity gap. Basically, the AI was building stuff that looked great on the surface, but underneath, it was structurally holding on by a thread. The fallout was brutal. Security-wise, we saw massive breaches because AI was hard-coding API keys and leaving databases totally unencrypted. Financially, experts projected a gut-wrenching $1.5 trillion in technical debt by 2027 just from ballooning maintenance costs. And legally, oh boy, autonomous agents were making binding mistakes at machine speed, totally unchecked by humans. The legal liabilities were just off the charts. So, the crucial point is really baked right into the data. Look at this. CodeRabbit found that AI-authored code actually contained 1.7 times more major issues than code written by a human. That includes a massive spike in critical security vulnerabilities. When developers got too comfortable, when that material disengagement set in, and they stopped understanding their own architecture, they literally couldn't secure it anymore. Trying to add a new feature to these brittle, vibe-coded apps would just shatter them, forcing thousands of startups to do these incredibly painful, expensive rescue engineering rebuilds. And that harsh reality brings us to part 5, the rise of agentic engineering. The tech world realized pretty fast that they simply could not afford this automation tax. The pivot was incredibly fast, even by Silicon Valley standards. So vibe coding was coined in February 2025. By late 2025, the hangover was absolutely crushing everyone. And exactly 1 year later, in February 2026, Andrej Karpathy himself officially declared pure vibe coding passé. The industry had to grow up, moving strictly to agentic engineering. You're still not typing out the code manually, but instead of just casually tossing prompts into the void and crossing your fingers, you are rigorously orchestrating autonomous AI agents with strict human-in-the-loop oversight. Because of this shift, hiring has been turned completely upside down. Forget standing at a whiteboard trying to memorize syntax. Today, hiring managers on platforms like HackerEarth are running rigorous vibe coding assessments. They want to see your oversight skills. They're testing things like, can you write hyper-specific prompts? Can you ruthlessly review an AI's output for security flaws? Do you actually understand system design well enough to steer the AI? If you want to survive in tech right now, these orchestration and architectural skills are absolutely the new premium currency. Which wraps up our explainer today, but I want to leave you with a provocative question to really chew on. In this new era of agentic engineering, are you writing code or are you just orchestrating agents? The landscape has completely shifted under our feet. Your true value isn't in your typing speed anymore. It's in your architectural vision, your rigorous oversight, and how well you can collaborate with AI. I highly, highly encourage you to take a hard look at your own workflow today